I have played a lot of Roblox FPS games in my life, dozens if not more, and there are a ton of really bad ones, but there are a lot of underrated gems with like very few players. A couple of these on the list have died before, gotten down to 0 players, and are generally under 100 players, but there's at least one server of every single game on this list, and honestly, an underrated Roblox FPS game will still probably have some kind of community behind it. Make sure to like and sub. 1,000 likes for part 2, but without further ado, let's get into it with number 1. Our first game is called Polygons. Polygons is actually developed by the same people that made Bad Business, at least some of them. However, it has not gotten an update in about 4 years. This game used to be a pretty big deal, and I got into it back in 2017 with the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 event. I played it, I got the event item, and I loved the game. I was a higher level in this game than I was in Phantom Forces for a long time. The reason for that is because this game is really fun. The gameplay is really good. The movement feels responsive and very fast. You can turn on a dime. It even has a first-person mode if you press V. I'm not a big fan of third-person games, and yes, this is technically a TPS, and if you say that in the comments, you are a terrible person, man. I'm gonna count on this list because it's my favorite Roblox FPS, and yeah, it is super underrated. I've seen it get down to like 3 players, but it generally never gets down to 0, so you can probably get a full lobby, hopefully. But yes, I recommend you check this out. It has such crazy customization. There's tons of different armor sets that you can mix and match, and they all have very different abilities, such as increasing your magazine capacity, fire rate, jumping height, health, accuracy, stuff like that. Tons of really cool equipment. There's dashes and turrets and things. This game is so much fun. Now, at number 2, we have Flashpoint. Now, Flashpoint is an interesting one. I made a video on it right when it came out, and I thought maybe it could be the end of Poly Battle, which is kind of like the battlefield of Roblox. This game has pretty good combat and everything, but it lacks a certain polish that, I mean, Poly Battle doesn't have that polish either, but this is basically a PC-only game. It does have cross-platform support and mobile support, but let me tell you, it is not that fun to play in mobile, and it probably runs really bad too for most people, so that's why it's not a super huge game. It has gotten as low as 0 players. I have seen it with nobody in the lobby, but it has been playable recently after they added tanks and stuff, and it usually has like 30 players online, which is enough to get a few different lobbies. It has a maximum capacity of 64 players in a lobby, massive maps, tons of interesting game modes, a pretty decent selection of guns and attachments, and it does feel really, really good. It just lacks a little bit of polish, and I guess I don't know why it's really not that popular, but I guess people don't like that more slow-paced, more tactical shooter that this game kind of is. I really like the game though. I don't really play it that much anymore, but when it first came out, I was really enjoying this game. My one huge gripe with it is probably just the sound effects are really annoying. If you get killed by like an M4, all the sound effects kind of bug out and it makes a really loud, like ear-piercing sound effect. It will actually hurt your ears at times, which is very annoying. And my other complaint is probably that there's an MK14, which is my favorite gun of all time, but it's not automatic in that game. It's just a semi-auto DMR, which is so annoying. I want a full auto Mark 14 in like any game that's not like PUBG. I want other full auto MK14s, but that's fine. At number 3, we have a game known as Ragdoll Universe. I'm surprised this game only has like 150 players online at a time, because this game feels like AAA quality. It feels way more polished than other, like even Phantom Forces feels almost less polished than this game does. The UI is great, the combat is really fun, and you can toggle first person if you want to, and it has a lot of like Fortnite type guns, but a ton of really interesting guns, abilities, like a lifesteal sight, lots of interesting features, and the movement is really fun and really different. You kind of just ragdoll, jump around, and the movement is really fast, and there's a ton of cool game modes like elimination and team deathmatch and free-for-all that makes the game really, really fun. It just feels like a high quality game, and it's really fun to play. My one gripe with it is probably just that there's no natural regeneration. For a game this fast paced, it doesn't feel like you should be having to go find pickups for health, which is not a big deal. I feel like health pickups are still kind of helpful. You should just have a little bit of natural life regeneration. I'm talking like 1 health per second. It doesn't even have to be that much. It's just annoying that when you're playing team deathmatch in a very fast-paced game, you can't regenerate life. Maybe an elimination, that makes more sense, but that is a pretty big gripe. You have to go to these vending machines or find other stuff like that on the ground and heal yourself with that. It's not very slow healing. It's very, very quick, but the fact that you have to get healing items is kind of annoying. It kind of ruins some of the gameplay, but other than that, you can throw barrels, there's planes, you can build walls like with that trowel thing. It is just so well made. If you're gonna check out only one FPS from this list, I'd say this is probably the best one to check out. Polygons, Flashpoint, all those games, you have to play a little bit to get some good stuff, but this one is literally just drop in and you have everything, and it's just so much fun to play with friends. At number 4, we have a Roblox FPS known as Impulse. Impulse is a very interesting FPS because it's very, very dead, but it just feels pretty good overall. Not too much to say about this one. It's just underrated and it's worth playing at least one time. You can jump really high, you have a jetpack at all times, and it's just a fun game to check out if you have haven't. Like I said, not too much to say about this one. Although I am adding this in post, I'm just going to tell you right now that mobile players on this game are very, very annoying. As you guys know, from most Roblox FPS games, there's a little bit of a problem with mobile players because mobile players actually get the ability to auto-fire in most of the cross-platform FPS games. I wish that would get changed, but the problem is Roblox mobile controls are really, really bad. They are awful, especially when it comes to FPS games. If they made it a little bit better, then maybe it would be fine to have auto-fire, but at the moment it's just kind of necessary, and it's really annoying. It's especially a problem here because people will aim at you and immediately hit every single shot and kill you. So just keep that in mind if you're going to be playing this game, but other than that, it's a very, very fun Roblox FPS. At number 5, we have a game that is a single-player version of a game I don't really like, but I actually enjoy this version. It's actually the most popular game on this list, but it only gets a few hundred players at a time, and it's Recoil Zombies. I do not like Recoil. I've talked about how janky it feels and pretty trash, and the gunplay is just not that good. The sniping and stuff is kind of fun, but it's been out for years and years. They've re-released the exact same game multiple times, and it has never gotten any better. If you hate how janky the normal game is, this is not any less janky. However, it is a single-player game, which makes it a lot better to play. If you want to play Recoil and have the jank, fair enough, but I do not want to play that game against real players, and that is the problem with Recoil, is that it's all multiplayer. But Recoil Zombies is a pretty good COD Zombies clone. Basically, it's the exact same game as COD Zombies, same exact maps recreated, and it looks pretty good on max graphics, although it runs really bad. I average about 90 FPS, which is not that great for my PC. Like, I get more FPS sometimes on 10 than I do on 1 graphics. It makes no sense. I don't know how this game runs so bad, but it does. It has sliding and all that and tactical sprinting and things, and against zombies, it's pretty fun. And if you play it with a few friends, it's pretty fun to just run around and shoot zombies, I guess. Definitely not my favorite Roblox FPS game, but there's enough content there to make it a pretty fun game. And it's definitely underrated. I don't really hear anybody talking about it. They talk about like Project Lazarus and all those games. I've played them and I haven't had the same amount of, I don't know, fun, I guess, with those games. They don't look as good. They don't have as good gunplay, although the gunplay arguably doesn't really matter too much in a zombie shooting one, but still, I want to have the better gun models. And yes, this game is still really janky. I've hopped in teleporters and literally just died instantly multiple times, or had zombies run into a wall and get stuck and not be able to end the round. And yeah, I really wish Recoil would just fix those bugs and stop updating their games to just fix the framework. If those games didn't get updated for an entire year and they came back with a much better and less buggy framework, it would make their games a lot better, but they don't do that, which is kind of sad. So yeah, Bad Business is definitely better than like Recoil, but Recoil Zombies has something fun in its single player and co-op gameplay. But yeah, there you have it, gamers. That is 5 underrated Roblox FPS games in 2022. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and sub. I have some ideas for games for a part 2, so make sure to like and sub, like I said. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.